Hi, it's Jackie from Sights Music School, and today we're going to learn how to put the shoulder rest on the violin and hold the violin between your jaw and kind of your collarbone and shoulder. Now, this shoulder rest right here is called a Bon Musica. You can get those on Amazon. It's really important that your shoulder rest is the same size as your violin. If you have a newer violin that was mass market made, out of like a violin store or a music store online, you can probably look right inside this F hole, and you won't be able to see it on the video, but I promise if you look inside the F hole, and mine is super old and it even has a label, there'll be a label in there, but if you have a student violin model, it should say the size inside. Mine is a full size. If you're an adult or a tall person, a tall kid, you're probably going to be playing a full size violin. So I make sure that I order the Bon Musica 4/4. Now, if you're going to be serious about playing the violin, this is my favorite shoulder rest because it can completely contour to fit you from your shoulder all the way down so that there's no gaps or anything. I find that a lot of the other shoulder rests give me little gaps and it's kind of uncomfortable. And so this is definitely my favorite one. 90% of my students love this one, even with smaller violins. Another option is the Kun, K-U-N, or the Everest. That's a lot of the kids like those, and those are super soft. They don't fit me at all. If you're more of an adult size, those may not be as comfortable. So I'm going to show you. My husband has a way he puts on the shoulder rest, and I really like it because it helps for a beginner to be really secure with their violin. So what I do is I hold the strings cradled in my left hand, and I take the end of the violin and set it against my belly like this. This is how he does it. And then I want this kind of handle part right over here that has the dip in it. I want that to be on the back of the chin rest side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the grooves on these feet here. I'm going to slide them right over this groove on the violin. So I take the far side and I slide that on. Now he actually holds this against his body while he does this, but I'm trying to make it so you can see it on the video. So I get one set of feet on, and then I free up my hand to get the other set of feet on. And then you want to push it until it's taut, until it's tight against the violin, but you don't want to push it past halfway. I tell my students you want the shoulder rest to be pretty much straight. Now, when we start putting it on the shoulder, you're going to maybe feel like you might want to angle that shoulder rest a little bit to make it more comfortable, but I'm going to suggest that you don't do that. And the reason is as you angle it more to the left or right, it's going to throw your violin position either too far up or most likely too far down towards the floor. And that's going to make it feel really comfortable when you're just starting to hold it, but it's going to give you a whole host of technique issues when you start trying to play it down the road. So you definitely want this nice and straight across. And if you guys want a tutorial on how I set up my shoulder rest and make sure that it fits against my body, let me know and I can make one of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the violin on its shoulder. So we already went over the parts of the violin, right? And so this is the shoulder right here. I'm going to make sure my thumb's on the back and my fingers are on top, and I'm using my left hand. And I've got the violin with the shoulder rest, and I made sure it's really sturdy on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist it up, and then I'm going to take this button towards my neck, and I'm going to set this shoulder rest right down on my shoulder like this. And I want you to make sure that that is flush. That means that it's touching all the way across. You don't want to have any gaps. A lot of times when people have gaps and there's space between the shoulder rest and their body, then what they try to do is re-angle the shoulder rest, and that causes the violin to come downwards, which makes your hand kind of angled incorrectly. So it's really important that the shoulder rest sits all the way up on top of your shoulder, and then you want to have your head nice and straight like this, and you want to be able to hold that violin with no hands, and you want to be able to hold it nice and straight up so that if I had like a round piece of candy or a marble on here, I'm not dipping enough that it would fall off. I want to keep it nice and level. So the scroll out here should be as high as like the top part of the strings of the violin. Okay, and so I have my students actually just practice holding that. And the goal is you don't want to be pressing down. That's gonna hurt your neck. It's gonna hurt the side of your body. It might even give you a shoulder ache. Plus it's gonna make the violin pop up. You wanna press down just gently enough that you can feel the violin, but not enough that it pops the violin higher up into the air, okay? So that's what we're gonna practice. We're gonna get that violin up on the shoulder, and we're gonna practice holding it nice and level. You can do this while you're listening to music. You can do this, eventually we're gonna pluck the strings, but definitely you wanna be able to, think about it this way. This is what we're gonna be doing while we play a song. So you're gonna want to be able to hold this violin up in the beginning for at least a minute. Set 60 seconds or listen to your favorite beginning song while you hold it, and don't go on to the next step until you can hold it level and secure and not feel like you're gonna drop it. Now, if you do feel like you're gonna drop it, have someone help you by holding their hands underneath, or get seriously cross-legged on a bed or on the floor with carpet underneath, something where it's nice and soft. Put a blanket under you, give it a try. But I teach kids that are 5 and 6, and I've taught adults. It's funny, sometimes the adults have a harder time with this. They think they're gonna drop it, but I promise after a couple of days of holding it for 60 seconds, you're gonna feel so comfortable holding it without using your left hand, and that's gonna give you the freedom you need to play anything you want on the violin. Okay, good luck learning to hold the violin with no hands, just using your shoulder rest and your jaw.